The Crying Woman of Hawthorn Hill. It was a quiet evening in the small town of Rosewood, nestled beneath the shadow of Hawthorn Hill. The hill, often covered with mist, had long been a place of whispered stories and forgotten secrets. Few dared to venture near it after dusk, and even fewer spoke of the strange happenings that occurred there. The story, as the locals told it, began many years ago when a young woman named Evelyn moved into a quaint cottage at the base of the hill. She was a gentle soul, married to a man named Thomas, whom everyone in the town adored. They were inseparable, the perfect couple in the eyes of their neighbors, but their happiness was short-lived. One autumn night, a storm swept across the valley. Heavier than anyone had seen in years, the wind howled and the rain fell in sheets, drenching the earth. As the night wore on, Evelyn waited for her husband to return from a late-night errand. Hours passed, but Thomas never came back. Concerned, Evelyn ventured into the storm, calling his name through the raging wind, her voice barely audible against the roar of the tempest. She never returned. The next morning, Thomas was found on the edge of Hawthorn Hill, his body lifeless and cold. No one knew how he had ended up there, and the storm seemed to have erased all traces of his steps. The townspeople searched for days, but Evelyn was nowhere to be found. Desperate and heartbroken, she was presumed dead, and her disappearance remained a mystery. Years passed, but the legend of Evelyn lingered. On nights when the fog crept thickly over the hill, people reported hearing soft, mournful sobs carried on the wind. It was said that if you stood on the hill long enough, you could see her silhouette through the fog, a woman in white, weeping for her lost love. One particularly chilly autumn evening, a young man named Jack, new to the town, grew curious about the stories. He had heard the whispers and the warnings, but he was determined to uncover the truth for himself. With a lantern in hand, he climbed the steep path leading to the top of Hawthorn Hill, the air thick with fog. As Jack reached the crest, the wind picked up, and he thought he saw a figure in the distance. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, the flickering flame of his lantern casting shadows that played with his mind. But as he drew closer, the figure became clearer, a woman draped in white, standing by a large oak tree. Jack's heart raced, but his curiosity kept him moving forward. As he approached, the figure turned, revealing a pale face framed by dark, damp hair. Her eyes were wide and hollow, and her lips trembled as she whispered, "Where is he? Where is Thomas?" Jack froze, unable to speak. The woman's sorrowful cry echoed in the night air, growing louder and more desperate. "Where is he?" she repeated, her voice cracking. Without thinking, Jack stepped forward, reaching out as if to comfort her. But she vanished into the mist, leaving only the sound of her mournful sobs behind. The lantern flickered out, plunging him into darkness. Panic surged through him and Jack turned to flee, but the sobs followed, growing louder and louder, surrounding him. Every step he took seemed to lead him further into the fog, until he found himself standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down into the abyss. He realized then that Evelyn had never left. She was still searching for her husband, and now she had found someone else to call to her. Her grief, eternal and undying, had trapped her in this world, forever waiting, forever crying. In the morning, Jack's body was found near the hill, his face frozen in terror. The townspeople spoke of the strange sound of sobbing that echoed through the streets that night, but when they searched, there was no sign of the woman in white. To this day, if you venture to Hawthorn Hill at night, you might hear the sound of faint, sorrowful cries on the wind, and if you're not careful, you may find yourself lost in the mist, searching for a love that has long been gone. The crying woman is still there, waiting for someone to answer her call.